Hello, friends. Welcome once again to the Perfect Bound Podcast. This is a podcast about anything and everything comic books and comics related, brought to you by the Panel Jumper and Comics Dungeon. My name is Ben. With me, as always, is Mr. Chris Casso.
Hello.
Ms. Nicole Lamb.
Hello.
And, of course, Mr. Cole Hornaday.
Hey there.
And I need to apologize to you, Cole. Before we started taping, I was sassing you a bit, so I want to, I think you got kind of mad at me.
What are you sassing me about, Ben Lawrence?
I was just making jokes.
What?
I was just making jokes.
But was it
making
not
the funnies?
Good-natured boyish ribbing?
Sure.
If you say so.
If that's...
My skin is thick enough for good-natured boyish ribbing, Ben Lawrence.
All right, so coming up, we are, of course, here in the beautiful Comics Dungeon in Wallingford, which is a beautiful suburb just north of downtown Seattle.
It's all beautiful.
And
Gorgeous.
coming up in
Fantastic.
It's totally all of those things and more. And we actually have the Emerald City Comic Con coming up. Now that's going to come up April 7th through April 10th. That's
One day extra.
Yeah, one day extra. So it's expanding. And pretty soon, I live near the convention center, and that whole area is expanding. Mm-hmm. And Comics Dungeon is going to have a presence there. Am I correct?
Yes, we'll have an island, and we basically gut the store and build another store. And we take trade paperbacks, toys, back issues, everything you could think of.
I've never heard you refer to it as an island, but now in the context of the ill-fated Lost television series, it makes a twisted kind of sense.
One day I wake up there and there's like a golden retriever that just guides me
the
to
big
the afterlife.
smoke monster. And Kate, have you figured out the polar bears yet?
What does that mean?
Oh, I forgot about the polar bears.
What does that mean, an island? Are you going to just be in a sea of people on a table? Or
Yeah,
with your oars trying to make your way towards land?
We have enough space that we build an entire grid structure that's kind of like the central headquarters, and then where the perimeter is surrounded by tables. I can't remember how many tables, but a lot of tables.
It's a lot of tables. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot of tables. We usually have one side that's all back issues and key issues, and then another side that's kind of more cutesy with toys, more kid-friendly material.
And you guys are stuck in there like a human petting zoo,
Yeah,
right?
but people come in. We open it up so people can come in with us.
Oh, okay.
And we will this year have an entire wall section full of
Come in!
Do you have snacks?
Oh,
We do.
we hide those.
Don't tap the glass.
Anyway, so you've got a wall of...
We will have a wall full of our store exclusive variants and art prints and other significant Comics Dungeon specific exclusive material.
So speaking of exclusives, there are going to be 4 exclusive covers for Faith, right?
Yes, thank you.
And by that time, you'll have...
We'll have 3.
Oh, okay.
But you can pay for the 3 of them. We'll send you the 4th one for free, or you could come and pick it up for free.
Mm-hmm.
So we have like
Since
a
we're on
package deal.
video, we should show them the second one because
Yes,
it's really
I'm trapped
cool.
in here.
I am trapped.
Yes.
All right. So anyway,
I
if
have to, get up in there, though.
if someone, it's going to be out of focus, but if somebody, we'll of course put a picture of it up. Oh, there it is. Look at
That
that.
is
Number
the coolest
2,
one. It's
where-
the Fremont troll.
Yep. And she has a little Comics Dungeon bag
Yes.
at Starbucks.
Yeah. And for
Sorry,
those who aren't in Seattle, the Fremont Troll is a statue in Fremont of a troll.
Underneath the Aurora Bridge.
Underneath the bridge.
All right. So, if one were wanting to go to the Emerald City Comic Con, I know it's sold out, but is there a way that Comics Dungeon can help someone go?
So we are scheduled to receive 2 free tickets soon that we will be not raffling, auctioning. There will be ways to get them. And so stay tuned to our Facebook page, and we will have more information as it develops.
Yes.
Cool. All right.
Yes.
So, great. Emerald City Comic Con moving on up in the world and coming up on us very quickly. All right. And other news that I noticed, Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez were, of course, you may know them as the Eisner-winning creators of Lock and Key.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
And they have recently been tapped to adapt an old TV show from 1983 called Tales from the Dark Side from IDW. Now, this caught my attention because I at first thought they meant Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm the only one who's going to make that mistake. But has anybody else heard about this? The Tales from the has anybody ever seen the show?
I think I saw every bloody episode.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I've seen some of it, but it's been so long, and there's been so many things kind of like it, especially around that time period. I feel.
There were a couple of late night syndicated shows that if you were coming home after a late night out, there was Monsters, there was Tales from the Dark Side, there was a Dracula TV series that was really just terribly awful.
Oh, that was the Shadow. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, Shadow of Dracula's Shadow.
I'll think of it later.
Okay,
yeah.
but there was, and that is when I do believe that's when Buffy originally aired, was in that syndicated late night slot in the first season. At least where I was in Oregon, it was on at like midnight, and then it got enough. There were those weird syndication slots like they did with Xena and Hercules when they were on like in the middle of the afternoon and stuff like that. You know, so it was groundbreaking in a lot of ways, and you know, it could be creepy, but it also could be terribly, terribly goofy.
But it was kind of like a Twilight Zone-ish kind of.
Yeah, it's the
Twilight
original
Zone, Outer Limits.
Outer Limits. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
But it was mostly horror-themed stories.
This article says it's Tales from the Dark Side was a fun, bleak little spin on the Twilight Zone style anthology. And
I like things that are fun and bleak.
Fun and bleak.
Fun and bleak. Tell me more.
Was it originally produced by George A. Romero and Dario Argento? I mean, there were some horror big names. There were some horror.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say here, and I didn't look up the original creative team, but that's so they're doing that. That we should look forward to that.
Well, and that's a great team, I think, to have on something like that. That would definitely be something I would want to check out.
Yeah, I love Joe Hill's comics.
And it was saying that it was the artist from Wraith as well, right?
He's doing covers,
something of it.
Yes.
And his stuff, it was really creepy looking. So I think that's also a good addition to that title.
Cool. All right. In other news, it turns out Jared Leto is a big weirdo.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just that the character of the Joker is getting into his head. Apparently, according to the Outhousers, which is a resource we go to a lot here, he had a henchman come into the rehearsal room and with a dead pig and plopped it on the table like while they were shooting. And apparently that was their introduction to Jared Leto.
So, I don't think I've ever really seen a movie with Jared Leto.
I mean,
what's he done?
He's done Requiem for a Dream.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
Did
there's
Mr.
a movie I'm going to
Nobody,
watch
I
on
think?
repeat play.
Well, yeah. But I never heard about what his acting situation was. Like, some people get really immersed in the character and they only want to stay there. And then some people can separate and get schmoozy and, like, become friends or not or something. This is just, I guess, him getting really involved in a stupid character.
A lot of people are saying that it's like the curse of the Joker because some people said that that's it destroyed Heath Ledger, and Jack Nicholson even tried to warn Heath Ledger that playing the Joker would damage you.
Is that substantiated? Really? Do we have that?
I read it on the internet. It must be true.
It's new to me.
Well, I got to
Yeah,
tell
I
you,
don't know.
the pig thing, that is some brilliant PR. That is some brilliant PR. Just think about how many tickets they sold with that image of someone dropping a dead pig on the set, and it sparked all our imaginations, and now we got to go see this movie because it's going to be off the freaking hook.
Yeah, for some people that might work for them.
It will work.
The Outhousers got it from
Throw the pig.
comicbook.com. I don't know if they're so invested in the marketing of the movie or even the sales. But anyway, so
Let's make a movie, but not care about the marketing or the money we'll make.
no, I'm talking about the comicbook.com people.
Okay.
No, DC is very much interested in the success of Suicide Squad,
Because
and
people are going to lose their jobs.
BVS. People are going to lose their jobs.
BVS and Suicide Squad,
they
if they don't
haven't-
sell, people are going to lose their heads. Will roll, people.
So the Outhouser says it's been one day since DC Comics did something stupid.
Announcement of Rebirth, I'm
Well,
assuming, or is
let's
there
talk
more?
about Rebirth. All right, more details are coming out.
Rebirth.
Yeah, so apparently Rebirth is who wants to take what Rebirth actually is?
Well, it's not a reboot, for one.
No, don't call it a
Hearing
reboot.
that, I mean, thank goodness for that, because
Don't call
who
it a
wants
comeback.
another reboot?
It's going to be a bunch of number
Except
ones.
I think it is, but yeah.
It's
Wait.
not a reboot.
Wait. Yeah, okay. You're being facetious. Oh,
Yes.
shoot. Okay.
Yes,
No,
I am.
You're so hard to read sometimes, Nicole.
So Greg Johns took, I believe,
Johns?
Green Lantern?
Jeff Johns? Yeah.
Jeff Johns, sorry. The Green Lantern and rebirthed him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he also took
Flash.
Flash and rebirthed
That
Flash.
was his job, actually. He did it to a bunch of other people.
It is kind of disgusting.
The way
isn't
Ben
it?
is using the phrase rebirth.
Well, a customer
in conjunction
today
with the
just
names
called
of
the whole
characters.
thing regurg.
Regurg.
Yeah.
Just wait until they finally rebirth everything, and then we can talk about the afterbirth.
There we go.
It's
already been hit.
And
Okay.
scene.
There you
Thank you
go.
for listening, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
so Jeff Johns,
He's known for fixing things.
right.
Right.
So it turns out that they're going to basically get they're wiping the slate clean somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
They're going back to number ones for some characters that they're keeping.
Well, for like everybody, basically. Like action and detective, I think, go back to the original numbers, so
Right,
they
the
could get
pre-New 52.
Yeah, so they could get closer to a number 1,000 issues,
Right.
Right.
Which is like a cheap thing we knew was going to happen eventually, and that's still years down the line. But everybody else goes back to two number ones. It's double number ones.
Right, a rebirth number
stories.
one and then a regular number one.
Yeah, there's a one-shot number one that's basically like, this is what we're doing, and now here's the actual number one to the series. So they're trying to outdo Marvel with number ones, and we're just going to
Why
get a
don't
whole
they
bunch
just
of
make-
number two.
Why don't they just make one, negative one, and then positive one,
Point one?
point one?
Let's go to integers now.
So
Well, I mean, we're almost fresh out of gimmicks here, guys.
Aquaman 3/4.
the line will consist so they're apparently they're going to have 32 total titles, 17 twice monthly and 15 monthly titles, but each title is going to be priced at $2.99, or each issue is $2.99. So you're paying either $2.99 for a monthly title or $5.98 a month for a different title.
And that sucks completely.
What does that mean from a retailer standpoint?
That's going to make ordering very tricky because we're going to have to try and predict the trends of longevity. And also with that kind of hyper schedule, that means creative teams aren't going to stick around or be consistent. At the least, the artists probably can't be consistent.
Which DC already has a problem with really, really badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means the burnout rate for readership will probably be even faster.
The burnout rate for artists.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, you can't. That's an insane schedule to keep up with. It's tough. A regular schedule is tough enough as it is.
Yeah.
Well, what I've been mentioning is that with more weekly comics coming out, it's becoming more obvious that, the first story arc was planned with one artist, and now we get the trade out at the speed of light. So we're losing the illusion that the single issues matter. They really didn't, no matter what. But that illusion is just now a puff of smoke because they're getting those trade collections out so fast with the bi-weekly schedule. And it's just like, well, now why should I buy singles?
Yeah, just wait
Right?
for the trade at that point.
Right.
I already had a customer tonight say that he was going to wait for the trades on stuff. Like maybe he would take a peek at number ones, but ultimately he just wasn't going to invest in that. And he's somebody who primarily buys single issue comics, monthly comics. So that to me feels like it's going to be a deal breaker for a lot of people.
And this whole thing promotes jumping off points.
Yeah.
I've already had about 3 customers within the week be like, oh, time to get off.
That's interesting because Dan Didio,
Jump ship, you mean?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
Sorry.
DC Entertainment co-publisher Dan Didio, he said in a statement that with Rebirth, we are putting the highest priority on the direct market, and we will continue to create and cultivate new opportunities for retailers to thrive and prosper, grow readers, fans, and customers. And that sounds kind of the opposite of what you guys are
Yeah,
telling
it's
me.
like corporate rhetoric, I think, at
Yeah.
that point.
Unless they have some tricks up their sleeves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they're trying to get back to the best of DC's past, embrace the stories we currently love, and move the entire epic universe into the future. But there are some concerns because there are some titles that are not coming back.
Yep.
Midnighter, Dr. Fate, Secret Six, Black Canary, Catwoman. It's actually removing a good chunk of diversity when it comes to LGBT, non-white, and female characters.
And books that were getting some critical acclaim too.
Yeah.
Because they're getting back to their superhero past.
Right.
It's awfully white and awfully middle class.
Yeah. I mean, Midnighter is a straight up queer character, but I don't think I think a lot of these things sales have been dwindling over time, and it's just getting cut. It's gonna end up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Is Batwoman sticking around?
Batwoman's long gone.
She hasn't been around for years now.
Trust.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sad about it.
Okay.
They hated up on my girl. Not okay.
So
I cry forever.
So Rebirth has obviously been in the works for a long time. Was there any indication this was happening during the whole Convergence era?
I beg to differ. I don't think it's been in the works.
It feels like a panic attack.
It was another weekend summit thing where, I think DC's doing a lot of desperate things, and they're making some really unwise moves. I mean,
they're not looking at long term.
Oh no, they're looking at short term profit, and they're not looking at the ramifications of some of these choices they're making. I mean, what Chris was just sharing with us. I mean, that's terrifying to me from a retailer's perspective, because that's traffic that is not going to be coming into the store on a regular basis, and also the absolute absence of wisdom when it comes to producing a book. It's like, well, if you're going to market stuff hinging on a package like a trade, then how long is it going to take you to produce that? I mean, each trade is comprised of 5 or 6 issues, and that's a year's worth of work.
Well, if some titles, 2 issues a month is what they're promising.
Yeah.
Well, so faster turnaround on that. But different art teams each time, That's what I noticed with.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the new Invincible Iron Man by Brian Michael Bendis. And part of that was because the art, I really like the artist. David Marquez, if I'm remembering correctly. So next story arc started, I was like, yay, more. And now it's like Deodato. It's Mike Deodato Jr. And I'm like, not so much about that. And now he's like been consistent for the next 3 issues. So like we might not see David Marquez till the next story arc. So it's like every other trade I get the artist I want. Yeah. And it's like, with comic books when I was a kid, it didn't necessarily matter. You didn't necessarily know who the artist names were. As an adult, I care a little bit more. And that idea of just like, oh, you're just basically printing trade paperbacks, but cutting them up into single issues first. So that's what I feel is happening with this announcement from DC. They're like, oh, that's what Marvel's doing. We should make sure to do that too. And it worries me a little bit, that people will catch on and be like, why do I even bother?
Right.
Right.
That's my concern too.
Yeah.
Well, in an effort to boost sales, especially of Rebirth, Dan Didio did tease in a video to Comic Vine that Rebirth will include, quote, probably the single most controversial scene at DC Comics in all the time that I've been there. End quote.
Boys kissing?
Well,
No, see, to me, I feel like it's
controversy.
like 90s fanfare controversial. That's what I'm afraid of.
Right.
Boys kissing, I will be all over that one, but not.
Because that's really controversial.
DC,
It's just awesome.
That's just
DC and controversy have not been the best of bedfellows these past couple years.
No.
So I'm wondering exactly what Mr. Didio is getting at.
what his definition of controversy
Right.
is.
That's what I'm wondering.
Right.
Yeah.
Feels like baiting at this point.
It is. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like throwing a dead pig on a table during a movie shoot.
Oh, DC, what are we going to do with you?
Is Dan Didio a juggalo now?
Oh man, I would like to see him at the Gathering. Anyway, drenched in Fago. Anyway,
We've gone too far.
I've seen too many documentaries on
Too many, man.
juggles. I just find that culture fascinating.
It's
anyway.
something.
They are something. Do we have any final thoughts? I'm sure we'll be talking about Rebirth later on.
Yeah.
The title's going to launch on, I think, May 25th. And with like Rebirth #1, the series to set it all off.
Right. So there's plenty of time. The thing that just kills me is the general vagueness. The just the whole, it's not a reboot, it's a reboot, it's not a reboot. Just say something.
Change your way of thinking.
Yeah, the wishy-washiness and the rhetoric and all of that sort of stuff.
Books you're looking for.
It's quite a turnoff. It doesn't get me excited. It just makes me feel like we're just getting a whole new variety of poop.
Right. I would,
You know?
exactly. I do know what you mean. I would be interested to see what DC sales numbers are after the Rebirth launch. I mean,
There will be a spike for sure because stores at the bare minimum have to take random guesses and be like, I guess I'll order 100 Batmans.
Yeah.
Because it's Batman.
But maybe at the end of the year, we'll see what the numbers look like then.
Right.
Once people have done this for 8 months or whatever.
And then maybe if it doesn't turn out so well, DC will rebirth again sometime in 2017.
It kind of
They
does
burst
make
and
you,
then they burst again.
it makes you wonder what they have. Did they have anything as a backup plan? Because it just keeps getting more and more absurd in my eyes. So and then there's Marvel that's plugging along. They did their Crisis on Infinite Earths, and it wasn't half bad in my eyes. By the by, I read the 9th issue. Loved what they did with the Fantastic Four. Loved that discussion.
Yeah.
Kind of jealous that you already reviewed it because I want to talk about it now.
That's good.
And
enjoyed that.
I actually am buying more Marvel comics than I have in probably 15 or more years.
Yeah.
Thanks to that.
Yeah.
Because it reignited reignited creativity and my interest in the universe and the continuity and the things I love about comic books. But there's also the exciting things of, there's people of color in stories, and there's a female Thor, and there's things that are exciting me, and that's not happening in the DC universe.
Hasn't been for 5 or 6 years.
Right.
So, yep.
Alrighty, well,
A dismal time for
exactly.
sure.
Hang our
Dog
heads
time for the
for DC. Let's move on to book report, everybody. Let's start.
Do we have to? We're all bummed out now about Afterbirth and stuff.
Let's bring this back up. Let's get this party restarted.
Okay.
Let's rebirth this episode with book report, and let's start with you,
boy.
Mr. Colehorn, today.
Oh boy.
Oh gosh, let's see. Where do I begin? Well, I think I'm going to talk about Marvel's new Captain Marvel #1, and I have to be frank and say that I missed the whole earlier series of Captain Marvel, so I was a little bit puzzled what the excitement was around this book. So if you guys could help me out with the backstory of why Carol Danvers' Captain Marvel became so popular.
Do you want to? No? Okay. So Kelly Sue DeConnick
Right.
took over the first launch years ago, and they redesigned her costume,
Yeah.
and they focused a lot on her career as a pilot,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very much just a focus on the strong female lead character,
Yeah.
and had a sense of humor and was fun. I didn't read too much of it. Kelly Sue DeConnick's scripting is not my favorite scripting,
But she appealed to a lot of people, especially
Oh, yeah.
particularly women.
Yep.
And the comic book sold exceptionally well and inspired a lot of young women to read comic books, right?
And then they relaunched again, and now this is your third relaunch after that
Okay.
point.
Was she involved in the second relaunch?
Yes,
She was,
it was
yes.
pretty much the same book. It was just Marvel launching.
I guess I'm puzzled. See, I can't really judge this book because I didn't know the backstory of Kelly Sue's influence so much because I didn't follow it. I read this book and I thought it's okay. It's interesting. They're incorporating Alpha Flight into the story, which I'm like, poor old Alpha Flight. No one ever knows what to do with them.
Kind of evolved them a bit, didn't it?
What's that?
Evolved Alpha Flight because they have a new purpose.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. But to me, they're still John Byrne's backwoods superhero team, and they were cool that way for about 5 months,
Right.
And it didn't work, but they were interesting for a while, and them duking it out with the X-Men. But that's a long time ago. But as far as this book is concerned, Chris Anka is a brilliant cover artist. I don't know if that's a Chris male or Chris female or if it matters. But the cover illustrations look digital and they're lovely. The interior artwork is about as blasé as you can possibly get. It's thick line work. It looks like something from the 70s that someone rushed out overnight. And I'm really underwhelmed with the artwork. And the story is just like, okay. I was actually puzzled as to why there was so much excitement around Captain Marvel. I mean, it's a good launching point for a book, but I'm not going to follow it because it just didn't capture my interest. If anything, I might go back and read the Kelly Sue McConaughey stories to try and figure out what I missed. And, if I'm inspired to do that based on this, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All
That
right.
makes me sad. I like Chris Anka.
Yeah.
Well,
he's
his
not doing
covers are great.
Yeah,
The color, I
great.
mean, the cover art I always see him do is really lovely, but I just don't think the interior art is worth writing home about.
So you can't judge a comic by its cover? All right, moving on. Nicole, what did you read this week?
I'm sticking with Marvel Spider-Man #1. I actually read this a little ways back, so I'm kind of cheating. But it's Miles Morales, and so the little backstory is that I latch on to characters for no particular reason. Miles Morales is one of them. I actually haven't read any Miles Morales stuff previously, so this is my first comic reading his stuff, and a character anyway. And it's still Bendis, because he did a lot of the other run. But the second page just goes into this splash art of Blackheart, and all the superheroes seem to be taken out, and then it flashes back to him in college, talking to his friend who knows who his identity is, and then goes back into stuff. Then I don't want to give away too much. I don't want to give away too much. Okay, but I did want to give away too much. But anyway, I really, really liked it. I'm really excited to continue this title. I think it's really solid. I think it's also noteworthy that there really aren't any white main protagonists or even surrounding characters and stuff like that. It's all people of color, so I think that's really solid as well. It's just great all around, and I highly, highly recommend that if you want to find out about Miles Morales or get into it, this is a great jumping on point, and please read it and support it.
Awesome.
The end.
All right. A glowing endorsement. All right.
I'm sold.
Chris Casso, do you have something that you read this week from Marvel?
No, I actually haven't. I actually haven't read anything, so I'm backpedaling. What? I know, I've been busy. I got a year older.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, that's right.
I mentioned at
you're
your
birth 26 now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You look hot for 26.
Thank you.
I mentioned your birth date.
You ain't half bad yourself.
Because I'm old.
We even released an episode on your birthday. You didn't say anything.
Oh.
On the 22nd, right?
Yeah.
Shame.
Oh.
Yeah.
But that was pre-recorded in the past, which is the future.
Right.
Anyway.
But I said this was
It's like the X-Men continuity.
I wasn't paying attention.
To the future.
So I just backpedaled to things to recommend.
Okay.
And the first season of Kaiju Max was finally released, and they're doing it as seasons, which is kind of a nice way of giving the creator a break. And Kaiju Max is Orange is the New Black meets Pacific Rim, and it is emotionally devastating. For only $10, and it's a lot of fun. There's this one kaiju who's a parent who is unfairly sentenced to the prison island, and he's abused by other inmates, and the wardens are corrupt, and it's a lot of jokes about monster movie stuff, but with some really, really, really good characterization. And the art's pretty cartoony, and it works for the type of storytelling because it's a strange juxtaposition of the horrible things happening on the island. So Kaiju Max is available in trade right now.
How many issues has it run so far individually?
I think this is 6 issues. So
but are you reading it monthly?
I am.
I remember when you read, or you had reviewed one of the initial issues, and you're really excited about it.
Yeah, it delivered all the way through for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And season 2 is about to start in about 2 months' time or so. So yes.
Cool. All right. Kaiju Max. Thank you, Chris. Well, that's book report, and coming up is quiz time. But before we go, I want to tell you that the Perfect Bound podcast is brought to you by The Panel Jumper. You can see everything Nicole Hornaday and I do at thepaneljumper.com, as well as Comics Dungeon here at 319 Northeast 45th Street, an actual comic book store, or 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at comicsdungeon.com. You can find any of our episodes at perfectboundpodcast.com. Email us at perfectboundpodcast@gmail.com. unhinged.com. Find us on YouTube now. We're doing this thing. Who knows if it'll work? All right, friends, get your quiz hats on. It's quiz time. This week, the questions come to you from me, and this is...
Ben Lawrence.
Yay, Ben.
This is called Comic Catchphrases. I'm going to give you a catchphrase, and you give me the character. Now, I had to look... I couldn't make these... I couldn't make these too completely obvious, so I tried to look up ones that were at least...
Raise your hand.
That were at least obscure for me.
He's ready.
Oh, I see.
Okay, you guys ready?
Okay.
All right.
All right, number one. I'm going to go and I didn't write these in descending hard order, so I'm going to have to mark here. Number one, I am the law. I think, Cole, you were up first.
Judge Dredd.
Yes, sir. Number two, Sweet Christmas. Chris.
Power Man, Luke Cage.
Yes, sir. I know he's called
Nice.
Power Man these days. Number three, Gods of Galador. Cole?
Is that Rom Space Knight?
It is Rom Space Knight.
Yes. Well done.
Wow.
Number five.
Can I get a? Thank you.
All right. Actually, I'm sorry. Number four. Oh, my stars and garters. Chris.
Beast.
Yes, sir. And finally, number five. By the hoary hosts of Hoggoth, Cole.
Dr. Strange.
Yes, sir. It's quiz time, and thank you for listening. We will see you next week.